CBC political reporter Adam Hunter joins me now for a look back at the last week in politics. And Adam, the political news cycle is dominated by COVID-19, but there were plenty of things to talk about this week. The NDP is asking for a deeper dive into Premier Scott Moe and his relationship with the We charity. What's going on there?
Well, Sam, if you've been out camping or on a boat, maybe you've missed the controversy with the We Charity. It's hard to miss it right now. And it involves right now the federal government and the ethics commissioner, which is looking into Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the finance minister Bill Morneau and their relationship with the We Charity after the government gave contracts to that charity. Now, this week, the NDP in Saskatchewan is asking questions about Premier Scott Moe's relationship with the We Charity. Now, back in December of 2019, Scott Moe and his wife took a trip to Kenya with the We Charity. Scott Moe said this week that he paid for that trip. It wasn't paid for at all by the We Charity. Why this is of interest to the NDP is that the government's awarded a contract, a non-competitive contract of $260,000 to the We Charity to work with students in schools in Saskatchewan. The NDP is asking questions about Premier Moe's relationship and the contract. Now, Premier Moe says it has nothing to do with it, and it's nothing like the federal government investigation. He says that he paid for his trip to Kenya, that he cleared his relationship with the Conflict of Interest Commissioner in Saskatchewan, and that the contract is similar to other contracts that we is doing with other places in Canada. So nothing to see here from Premier Scott Moe. He says there isn't a conflict, and it's nothing like what's happening with the federal government.
Staying with the Premier, Adam, he said a letter signed by some well-known business leaders in Alberta and Saskatchewan this week needs some more scrutiny. What is this group asking for?
Now, this is a political action committee or group known as the Buffalo Project. People may remember a year or so ago, they surfaced. The group was created with some help from former Premier Brad Wall. They were made up of a handful of well-known Alberta and Saskatchewan businessmen. Now, this week, they sent out a letter signed by 60 well-known businessmen and business leaders, I should say, in Saskatchewan. Political names people may remember as well. They're asking for a new deal for Alberta and Saskatchewan, things like a different deal for equalization, more control here in these two provinces over immigration, trade, things like that. And so I think that is something that Scott Moe says, and Premier Jason Kenney in Alberta says they will look at, that deserve scrutiny. These are also issues that both premiers have been raising themselves and with the federal government. So there's no surprise there that they're willing to entertain these ideas. Now, NDP leader Ryan Miley said this week that the government should dismiss this letter, that it's calling out towards separatism. That's something that the leaders of the Buffalo Project say that that's not the case, that they're for unity and they're for a strong Canada, but they want a different deal for Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Thanks so much for this, Adam.